What's up everybody, Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles back at you with another video. Today you can call me Jay Exotic because we're going to talk about the filmmaker Eric Goode, who produced a Tiger King documentary. He's producing a new reptile documentary and it could be really bad for us. What sparked this video is I saw a really good podcast by Animals at Home podcast. The guy did an excellent job, laid it all out. Make sure you check his channel out, check that video out. So as far as we know, Eric Goode is producing a new reptile documentary. This is something he was filming prior to Tiger King, and during the development of this reptile documentary, he switched focus. So Tiger King was 2020, Chimp Crazy was 2024, and we're not really sure when this is going to come out, but we know that it's probably not going to shed a good picture of what reptiles are. It's going to likely talk about the smuggling aspects of our hobby. It's going to talk about the caging and the venomous. It's going to talk about the irresponsible keepers, and it's really unlikely to make any of us look good. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the negatives, the positives, my thoughts on the outcome, and then the overall call to action. It's really important you stick around because we need to get a united path forward if we're going to keep our reptiles and we're going to keep this as a growing hobby. Let's talk about the negatives. I think the negatives are really easy to pick out, so I'm not going to go in detail, but the quick negatives I can see is that we are probably going to get some blanket laws being passed, either at the federal or definitely at the state level. They are probably going to be talking about Florida Burmese python problem that they have. They're going to talk about the recent venomous bites, and I would find it hard to believe they don't put in the person that lost the cobra in somewhere down south that just got loose. They're going to show that we are not responsible people, we're not a good group of people, and we're strange. Maybe we're a little weird, but everybody is. So what is normal? I think it's going to shed some light on our hobby in a good and a bad way, but overall, everything bad still brings some good publicity to us, and there's going to be a lot more interest in reptiles in general. I guarantee almost everybody who watched Tiger King went out and Googled all this information about tigers, how much they cost, because you couldn't believe they were $2,000 for a tiger. Give me the albino one for $5,000. That's cool. Let me get myself a tiger. But reptiles are a little bit different. They're more accessible. You have them in a lot of homes in America. You can get them in pet stores. And there's a lot of really cool reptiles. And I think people are going to be finding these through research they're going to find once they watch this documentary. Another thing that may come out of this is that there really is a whole trade based on smuggling. There are people who smuggle things. When I used to be in water monitors, I would get messages from people in the Philippines all the time trying to get me to buy animals from them. They would illegally import them into the United States, and these are animals that should have never been imported or collected at all. It would be good to put an end to some of this stuff. These animals during this smuggling process are not treated in the right way. They're stuffed in water bottles, they're stuffed in shoe boxes, they're traveling long ways. It's all about how many can I get over there. They don't care how many die in the process, but they're extremely inexpensive, and there's a very high profit margin for those in the United States. So it does happen, but it's not as prevalent in our hobby. I would say 99% plus of the things that people do in our hobby are perfectly legal and very safe. There's just not a lot of irresponsible keepers. The challenge is these are reptiles, and when something bad happens, everybody hears about it because nobody likes reptiles, or the majority of people don't like reptiles, and they're an easy target. One other negative that could come out of this is that if these laws are passed, the smuggling and illegal reptile trade will actually increase. I don't think people are going to just get rid of their pets. Most people have these as pets. I know people who have come around from terrible situations and they use these animals for support. Just being able to be with them and present with them in their current state has taken people's minds off of some really bad stuff, some severe depression. So to just completely eliminate these by passing blanket laws is going to be something that I believe is going to increase the illegal activity in the reptile trade. Some people think this is the end of our hobby and laws are going to change state, federal, all over the world. There's going to be a whole new set of laws being passed for this. I do think there are probably going to be more strict import-export laws. There may be some more strict kind of state transfer laws. But overall, I think the majority of reptiles that we keep in captivity are going to be safe, and there's going to be nothing to worry about. Animals like this beautiful boa constrictor here, this is a Pacalpa Peruvian boa. He's been with me since 2017 when I made him as a baby. I think he's going to be fine. However, if I wanted to import more animals from the wild, I do believe that is going to be more difficult to do in the future. Your leopard geckos, ball pythons, corn snakes, milk snakes, all that stuff I do believe are going to be fine both state and federally. They're smaller, they're usually more manageable, and I think it's going to be easy to attain these. However, I'll do a caveat on this. I do think there are also going to be some laws passed on caging requirements. How they enforce that, I don't know. That's going to be the hard part, but I do think there could be minimum cage size requirements. Now, where I think you may want to be a little nervous are for the more kind of out there reptiles, the things that make the media. Your Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons, water monitors, crocodilians, venomous, specifically venomous. I think there's going to be a lot more federal regulation or at least state regulation on these animals. Most of them are already regulated at a state level. However, I feel that state level is going to increase a little bit more. And the other element is if you are doing any type of animal show, so you're doing birthday parties, education, this is where it's going to really hurt. Is I got into reptiles years ago because I was amazed by somebody who came to a birthday party, my friend's birthday party, bought this giant Burmese python, some Madagascar kissing cockroaches and tarantulas and all kinds of cool stuff. I think that's the piece where it's going to hurt. Those folks who are doing those educational shows, there's people who just don't see those as educational. They see them as traveling animal circuses. And that's because there's a couple bad people who give the majority a really bad name. They keep things like elephants and ponies and do stuff with these animals that are just, they are not humane. And in my opinion, they should not be allowed. However, most of the people doing this, the large majority of people, just like the large majority of reptile keepers, are responsible, and they're doing it in a really nice educational way that's prospering the next generation of reptile keepers and good people in the world that are going to care for what's happening next, that's going to care for these animals and preserve their natural environment. Here's my call to action. Right now is the time to be on your best behavior. We need to be smart about what we do, and there's no reason to be doing extreme stuff right now. Please, everybody, stop supporting those people who are doing those ridiculous things on camera for views, free-handling venomous snakes, or doing stuff with large constrictors. Do that in private. Don't put it on camera and show it to the world. No, don't do that in private. You shouldn't be doing that at all, because yeah, you may not care about your life if you die by getting bit, but that changes a whole bunch of laws for a lot of people who do, and people who are responsible. So by you supporting that type of stuff, that's kind of what got this moving again, is that person that got bit by the inland taipan is going to probably be in this series, and it's not going to make us look good. It's going to make us look like that guy, who if you've watched any of his videos, it's kind of cringy and it's really bad, but he's probably going to be representing us now because everybody gave him the spotlight he wanted. The next thing we should be doing is encouraging the larger people in our industry to step up and start supporting us. Now, I know that they do to some extent, but the folks like the Zoom Eds, the Morph Markets, the Rodent Pros, the ARS, the Freedom Breeders, these people that service a huge section of our hobby, I think they really need to step up, because they're not going to have a business if we all lose our rights to keep. There's fewer rodents if there's fewer snakes. There's fewer enclosures if there's fewer snakes or lizards. There's fewer things selling on Morph Market if people can't keep these things. So these are the people who businesses are going to be impacted the most. We think, oh man, it'll be terrible if I can't sell boas anymore. Yeah, it will be, but I'm going to survive. These people who have built multi-million-dollar businesses, and if that just turns over tomorrow, are going to be really impacted. So I think those are the folks who we need to encourage to step up the most, as well as our keepers themselves. We need to be a united front right now. So if you're not supporting things like USARK, I think you kind of need to at this point. You don't need to join their highest platinum tier or whatever it is now, but just become a member. It's better to have 100,000 free supporters than it is for me to have 100 members who are going to give me $100,000 a piece. Money is one aspect, but numbers show more strength. So we need to show that we're all in this together, and we do like these reptiles, and we're not just a handful of weird people. We're a large group of reptile keepers, and we actually are, but we need to show that, because reptile keepers in general are not united. The next thing to do is just sit tight and wait. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is going to be the end of our hobby? Do you think it's not that bad at all? I want to hear from you, and I'm curious what you guys think. Until next video, let's keep it moving.